Hello, good morning to all. I am Khaja Asifullah, lecturer in chemistry from Government Degree College, Palaknuma, Hyderabad. Today, I present a video lesson on thermodynamics from chemistry. It is part 1 or the first lesson. In this first, we will take the definitions of different terms like thermodynamics. Thermo means heat and dynamics means the study of moving objects. So thermodynamics is the branch of science which deals with the conversion of heat into mechanical work and vice versa. Actually, this science was first developed by mechanical engineers, especially automobile engineers. Later on, this was also used by chemists and physics, etc. So now the term is used in a much wider sense, covering almost all forms of energies like electrical energy, radiant energy, chemical energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, etc. And we know that all forms of energies are interconvertible into each other. Means electrical energy can be converted into mechanical energy or sound energy, etc. Similarly, chemical energy can be converted into electrical energy, etc. From this, we can say that all these forms of energy can be converted into heat. Why? Because heat is also a form of energy. So, using electricity, we can heat a substance, for example, heater or iron box, etc. And hence, they are related to each other quantitatively. Thus, thermodynamics may now be defined as the branch of science which deals with the quantitative relationship between heat and other forms of energy. Thermodynamics is concerned with energy changes accompanying a process like physical process or a chemical process, and not with the total energy of the body. Means this science is not bothered about the total energy, but it deals with the energy changes and the changes occurring in the system, whether it is physical or a chemical system or a process. Now, chemical thermodynamics is the branch of thermodynamics which deals only with chemical changes and not the chemical substances. It will deal with the chemical change only. The study of thermodynamics is based on 3 generalizations called as first law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, and third law of thermodynamics. Its applications. Most of the laws of physical chemistry such as Raoult's law, lowering of vapor pressure, Van 't Hoff's law of dilute solutions, distribution law, phase rule, law of chemical equilibrium, law of thermochemistry, etc., can be deduced from the law of thermodynamics. So these laws help us to deduce different laws like Raoult's law, Van 't Hoff's law, etc. Second application of thermodynamics is it helps us in predicting the feasibility of particular process, whether it is physical process or chemical process. What is the meaning? If we consider chemical process, maybe it is a chemical reaction. So with the help of thermodynamics, we can predict the feasibility of a reaction, whether it will take place or not. On what basis we will predict? We have to consider enthalpy, entropy, free energy, etc. of a particular system like a particular chemical reaction, and on the basis of these we can predict whether a reaction is spontaneous or not. Similarly, the feasibility we can predict. That is, whenever a process can occur, whether a process can occur or not under a given set of conditions of temperature, pressure, and concentration. Third application of thermodynamics is it also helps us in determining the extent to which a reaction would proceed before attainment of equilibrium, and thus it may predict the yield of product. There are certain limitations to it. First is the laws of thermodynamics are applicable only to matter in bulk, that is, to macroscopic system or assembly of a large number of molecules, and not to individual molecules or atoms. So it is a limitation that thermodynamics laws are applicable only to macroscopic system or a big system, not to very small or infinitesimally small system like system of molecules or atoms. Thus, it is independent of atomic and molecular structure of matter. Second limitation is, although thermodynamics predict about the feasibility, direction, and extent of a given process under a given set of conditions of temperature, pressure, etc., it does not tell anything about the rate at which a given process may proceed. What is the meaning? The meaning of this is thermodynamics can say whether a reaction can take place or not, but it cannot tell anything about how fast or how slow a reaction will take place. That means the rate of reaction cannot be predicted using thermodynamics. That is, it provides no information regarding the time taken to reach equilibrium. Certain reactions are reversible reactions. In those type of reactions, it provides no information regarding the attainment of equilibrium. The other meaning is that how fast a reaction or equilibrium will attain, it will not tell anything about it. Third limitation is it concerns itself only with the initial and final states of a system and gives no information about the path, the mechanism of the process. What is the meaning? Again, if we take a chemical reaction, then initial means what are the reactants and the final is product. Or the initial state means a particular temperature, pressure, volume, what is the condition or state of the process or system. And the final means at other conditions of temperature, pressure, etc. What is the state of system? It can tell us about that only, but the path followed will not be decided by this. Now we have certain terms in thermodynamics whose definitions we have to understand, or we should know what our different terms are. Very first is system, because in thermodynamics we take a system or process. What is system? Anything under observation or anything under study on which we are studying is called a system. It may be as simple as water taken in a beaker. Why? Because if we take water in a beaker, then if we heat it, then we can observe the changes occurring due to absorption of heat by water. Naturally, in the beginning, it absorbs heat, but we cannot see the change. But if we go on heating, water will be converted into vapors. Why and how? The water molecules will absorb the heat, and as a result, their kinetic energy will increase and they will start moving here and there. And when they have energy more than the attractive force and they come near to the surface, they will evaporate. So anyway, the system under observation or under study may be as simple as water taken in a beaker and as complex as water in a polluted lake. Why? Because in lake, the water may be containing many things like salts, minerals, or any pollutant, contaminant, etc., etc. So it becomes a complex system. So we can define a system as any specified portion of matter under study, and it may be as simple as water taken in a beaker or as complex as water in a polluted tank. So you please see this figure here. This is a beaker with water or beaker containing water. It is called a system. So before going into detail in this figure, we will see what other things we have to learn. The next thing is surrounding. Excluding the system under consideration, the remaining part of the universe is called surrounding. And the surrounding and the systems are separated by a thin boundary. For example, in the system which we have discussed just now, there is a beaker full of water. Water is the system, and the walls of the beaker are boundary, and the remaining portion, that is air, and the beaker, etc., are called surrounding. Then what is universe? System and surrounding together is called universe, or system plus surrounding is equal to universe. In the above example, water, beaker, air, etc., etc., all those things which are present are called universe collectively. So if we consider these figures, we will be able to understand these three things easily. Are four things. What are four things? System, surrounding, universe, and the boundary of the system. For example, in this figure, this is the system, which is nothing but water contained beaker. And the boundary is nothing but walls of the beaker. And the air, etc., is called surrounding. The whole is called universe. Now, in this figure, if this is a system and this is the vessel, then this is the boundary. So this is system, boundary. The remaining is the surrounding, and surrounding plus system is called universe. Take the next figure. Again, this is the system, this is the boundary, and this is the surrounding. The whole is collectively is called universe. This is a typical system, can consist of a cylinder fitted with a piston, inside which a gas may be taken. Now, this gas under study is called the system. The remaining portion is called surrounding, and this is boundary, and total is called universe. You please remember this, because in thermodynamics, this is repeatedly taken as a system to study a gas or work done by gas or work done on the gas. This is called pressure volume type of work. Anyway, system, surrounding, and the universe. Next, thermodynamic system are of different types. Thermodynamic systems are of different types. This can be divided into three types depending upon the nature of the boundary. And these systems may be called as open system, closed system, and isolated system. Open, closed, and isolated system. And what is an isolated system? Any system which can neither exchange energy nor matter with its surrounding is called as isolated system. Means a system which is not allowed to exchange its matter as well as energy with its surrounding is called isolated, because there is no change in energy and the matter, a quantity of matter. Like, very easy to understand, if you take a simple system called as thermos, okay, for a small period of time, it will neither exchange energy nor matter with the surrounding. A closed system. A closed system is that which can exchange energy but not the matter with its surrounding. For example, if we have a beaker containing water, if it is covered with a lid, then it is called closed system. Now, if we heat it, then the water vapors will not go out, or the water vapors will not enter into the air which is surrounding it, or it will not enter or exchange water vapor with surrounding. But it can exchange heat. It can gain heat from the surrounding, or it can lose or emit energy into the surrounding. Now, open system, the third one. Open system is a system in which the system can exchange both the energy and matter with its surrounding. For example, if we take water in a beaker without a lid, And if we heat it, that can exchange heat as well as matter with the surrounding. On heating, the water will be converted into vapors, and vapors will evaporate into air. Therefore, matter as well as heat can be exchanged with the surrounding by a open system. So we have open system, closed system, and isolated. This picture illustrates about the different types of systems. This is open. This system can exchange energy, means it can transfer energy, or it can give or take energy from the surrounding. If the temperature of surrounding is less than the temperature of system, it can lose energy. If temperature of surrounding is more than system, then it can take energy. Similarly, it can exchange matter. As I told you, even if we keep water in a container on room temperature, we can observe that few water vapors are going into air. Very easy to understand. So this is an open system. So the system is not covered with any lid. In closed system, to open system, we add a lid, means it is covered. Then it can exchange the energy, but it cannot exchange the matter. So it is called closed. In isolated system, both energy and matter cannot be exchanged. Same thing is shown here. This is a closed system. This is an open system where mass and energy both can be exchanged, means it can come into or go out. Similarly, here mass is restricted, or it is not exchanged with the surrounding. Only energy can be exchanged, come in or go out. So due to some technical reasons, we had some disturbance. So we were discussing about open system, closed system, and isolated system. So open system is a system in which both energy and matter can be exchanged with surroundings. And in a closed one, matter cannot be exchanged, but energy can be exchanged. Whereas in the isolated system, both energy and matter cannot be exchanged with the surrounding by the system. It is closed system in which energy can be exchanged, matter cannot be exchanged. Open system, both mass and energy can be exchanged. In isolated, only no energy or mass cannot be exchanged. Both energy and mass cannot be exchanged. Now we will take another type of system called as homogeneous system and heterogeneous system. So on the basis of the phases a system may contain or have, a system may be called as homogeneous or heterogeneous. So first, homogeneous. A system is said to be homogeneous if it is uniform throughout, that is, it consists of only one phase. For example, if we take water and add a teaspoonful of sugar, sugar will get dissolved. After some times, no sugar particles will be seen with our eyes. So it is uniform throughout. Why? Because no two phases are seen. Color, taste, everything will be same or similar throughout. Therefore, it is containing one phase and called as homogeneous system. For example, solution of sugar in water or solution of salt in water, air, which is a mixture of several gases, etc. Whereas a system is said to be heterogeneous when it is not uniform throughout, that is, it consists of two or more phases. For example, a system consisting of two or more immiscible liquids or a solid in contact with water or any liquid in which it does not dissolve. So, a system of two immiscible liquid is called heterogeneous. For example, if we take water and add some oil, sweet oil or cooking oil, then it will become second layer, means the solution will be of two layers, means these two liquids are immiscible. The mixture contains two liquids which are immiscible. So it is called heterogeneous. Whereas if we add alcohol to water, it will get mixed with water, so it is homogeneous. Now, if you add some sand to water, again it is heterogeneous. This figure will illustrate you about the homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. This is a figure in which a beaker containing a solution in which no two phases are seen, only single phase. Therefore, it is homogeneous, whereas this figure gives you an idea that there are two phases, liquid and a solid. So when two phases are there, it is heterogeneous, like iron piece in water or a stone in water or sand in water, etc. Now, mixtures of two or more solids, again, it will give you heterogeneous mixture. A system consisting of a liquid and its vapor, again, will be a heterogeneous system. For example, if we heat water in a beaker, water vapors will accumulate on the surface of the liquid, that is water. So there we have two phases, one gaseous phase or vapor phase, another is liquid phase. Therefore, that will not be called as a homogeneous, because it is a water, we cannot call it as homogeneous, because two phases there exist, therefore it is heterogeneous. Now, other things like macroscopic system and macroscopic properties. What these are? First, a macroscopic system. A system consisting a large number of particles, that is molecules, atoms or ions, etc., is known as macroscopic. In the beginning itself, we talked about this, that thermodynamics will deal with macroscopic system. That means a large number of particles, not in small number. So the properties associated with the macroscopic system are called macroscopic properties. What are these properties? These properties may be pressure, volume, temperature, viscosity, density, refractive index, etc. So these are the few important properties of a system which are called macroscopic properties, such as pressure of the system, volume of the system, temperature of the system. For example, if we have taken a gas, then we have to give the values of pressure, volume, and temperature of that gas. Similarly, for any other phase like liquid, etc., we can have viscosity, and we can have density, refractive index, etc. All these are called macroscopic properties. Now, the state of a system. What is the state of a system? The state of a system can be defined when its macroscopic properties like pressure, volume, and temperature are specified. For example, if we are taking a gas in a cylinder, then we have to specify that gas at a particular pressure and at a particular temperature, and it will have certain volume. That is called the state of system. After some time, the state of system may get changed. Why? Because if pressure is altered or temperature is altered, naturally the volume will get changed. Therefore, that will become another state of system. Let us call P1, V1, T1 as the conditions or properties of state in the beginning, or it is called initial state. Then T2, V2, T2 will be the macroscopic properties of that system in that state, that is called as final state. So we may have at least first or the last or initial and the final state for a particular system. Then state variables, the macroscopic properties whose values change the state of the system are called state variables. Thermodynamic variables are thermodynamic parameters. So the state variables may also be called as thermodynamic variables or thermodynamic parameters. Of all the macroscopic properties, the four most common macroscopic properties which are sufficient to define the state of a system are nothing but pressure, volume, temperature, and concentration or composition of the system. For example, if we have a gas, then its pressure, its volume, its temperature, and what is the composition, then these are called four common macroscopic properties. If these properties are fixed, then the state of that system will be fixed. Otherwise, the system's state will not be fixed. Means if we take a gas, then if pressure is fixed, volume, temperature is fixed, naturally volume will be fixed. And for a particular quantity of matter, the composition will be fixed. Therefore, if we fix the four properties, then naturally the system will automatically be fixed. Further, PVT of the system are interrelated. You know the gas laws. We have different gas laws like Boyle's law, Charles' law, etc. From that, we can derive an ideal gas equation. An ideal gas equation is nothing but PV is equal to nRT. Means in PV is equal to nRT, pressure, volume, temperature are related to each other. And N is nothing but number of moles. If you take N is equal to 1, means for a 1 mole of a gas, the equation will become as PV is equal to RT, where R is a constant called as gas constant. This is called ideal gas equation. PV is equal to nRT, or when N is equal to 1, we get PV is equal to RT. This is called as ideal gas equation. In this, T is pressure of the gas, P, volume of the gas, and T, temperature of the gas, and R is a constant called as gas constant. So the variables are nothing but P and T. Why? Because if pressure and temperature are altered, volume will alter or change. The variables P and T, which must necessarily specify to define the state of the system. Now, value of volume depends generally on pressure or temperature. So we have to fix these two. So P and T are called volume is called dependent variable. Why? Because it depends on pressure and temperature. So dependent state variable volume, because it depends on pressure, the value of pressure or temperature. Thus, the thermodynamic state of a system consisting of a single gaseous substance, which is simple homogeneous system, may be completely defined by specifying any two of these three. What are they? Pressure, temperature, and volume. If we fix at least pressure and temperature, then it will be defined as a particular state of system. For example, if P, T, V are fixed for water, then we can say that water is in this state, having this much pressure and temperature and volume. So water there, it is nothing but a system. Now the thermodynamic equilibrium. A system in which the macroscopic properties do not undergo any change with time is known to be thermodynamic equilibrium. So thermodynamic equilibrium is nothing but the state of the system where the macroscopic properties do not undergo any change. In thermal equilibrium, a system is said to be in thermal equilibrium if there is no flow of heat from one portion of the system to another portion. That means temperature of the system remains constant. Why? Because flow of heat is not possible or it is restricted, therefore temperature remains constant. Now the chemical equilibrium. In thermodynamic equilibrium, we have chemical equilibrium as well as thermal equilibrium. In thermal equilibrium, temperature will not change or it will remain constant. In chemical equilibrium, a system is said to be in chemical equilibrium if the composition of the various phases in the system remains constant. For example, if we take ice, if we supply heat, naturally the state of the system will get changed, but composition will not change. Why? Because ice on gaining heat will be converted into water, but the composition of ice and water is same. Similarly, if we heat the liquid water, it becomes vapor, but the composition of vapor is also not changed. Therefore, it is chemical equilibrium. Now, thermodynamic processes. There are different thermodynamic processes. The operation by which a thermodynamic system changes from one state to another is called thermodynamic process. And these are of different types. First, let us take isothermal process. Iso means same, thermal means heat. So in a process where heat will not change or the temperature will not change or the difference in temperature will be zero. If temperature has two values, T1 and T2, and the difference is 0, then it is called isothermal process. So a process in which although heat enters or leaves, so there is no restriction for flow of heat of the system, but temperature of the system if remains constant throughout the process, then it is called isothermal process, and the condition is dT is equal to 0, that is difference in temperature is 0. So it is called isotherm. It is a graph plotted between pressure and volume, keeping temperature constant. So it is the process in which temperature was constant, but there was change in the values of pressure and volume. So the state of system has changed from this position to this, even though the temperature is constant. So it is called isotherm, and the process is called isothermal process. Then we are taking adiabatic process, a process during which no heat enters or leaves the system during any step of the process. Means heat exchange is prohibited, or heat will not be exchanged during the reaction, then it is called adiabatic, and the condition is dq is equal to 0. Here d refers to difference, q is heat. So difference in heat is 0. This is adiabatic system where q or difference in q, delta q or dq will be 0. Okay, but the volume may change due to change in pressure. As pressure is increased, the volume decreases. So in this also the same thing is illustrated. Here pressure can be applied on this piston. It is a system in which cylinder is fitted with a piston on which if we apply the pressure, then the gas volume of gas will decrease. So this is at high pressure, it is at low pressure, and it is adiabatic change. Now isochoric, where the volume of the system in initial and final stage will be same, or V1, V2 are same, or V2 minus V1, that is dV or delta V is equal to 0, means a process during which volume of the system remains constant is called isochoric process. Here volume is not changed, whatever be the pressure applied. In initial state and final state, the volume of the system is same, therefore delta V is equal to 0. It is a line, that means a graph plotted is a line parallel to y-axis. So delta V is 0 there. Now isobaric, a process during which pressure remains constant. Pressure of the system remains constant means P1 and P2 are same, or P2 minus P1 is equal to 0, or delta P is equal to 0, or dP is equal to 0. This type of process is called isobaric process. So remember, a process during which pressure of the system remains constant is called isobaric. Here pressure is kept constant, so it is a line or a graph plotted is a line parallel to x-axis. In the previous one it was parallel to y-axis, now it is parallel to x-axis, and this is isobaric. Our pressure change is 0, change in pressure. Our difference in pressure is 0. The same thing is predicted here. The line parallel to x-axis. Why? Because there is no change in pressure. The last one is cyclic process. A cyclic process is that during which the system comes to its initial state, where we have started. That means from first state or state 1, then we can proceed to state 2, to state 3, to state 4. Then again we will come back to state 1. That type of process is called cyclic process. From where we have started, the end point will again be same. In this process, we have difference in energy 0 and difference in enthalpy again 0. This means for a cyclic process, delta E is equal to 0 and delta H is equal to 0. Difference in energies is 0, difference in enthalpy is again 0. So it is initial, then we are changing the state of the system adiabatically, then isothermally, then again adiabatically. In this way, we can change the pressure, temperature, volume, etc. And we can arrive again at the initial point or stage. Therefore, it is a cyclic process. Again, the same thing is depicted here. This is also a cyclic process. So, any process in which we come to initial state again, that is called cyclic process. These are also pictures of cyclic process. From this, we have started second point, third, fourth, first again. First to this point, again to initial point. With this, we end the topic. Thank you for watching, one and all. Thank you.